Hello, I'm Mark Price. I'd like to talk to you today about divine love versus secular love. Now, I'm not going to read the reading today, but I encourage you to read it. It's right there. You can see the chapter and verse just below me on your screen. And please do read it. If you don't have a Bible at home, you can Google the readings and read it that way. But they're important readings. In fact, this reading today is probably one of the most, certainly loved, but one of the most important readings. A scribe comes to Jesus and asks the most important of all the commandments. And Jesus gives his wonderful answer, well, it's to love God and with all your heart, your mind, your body, your soul, your entire being, and to love each other as you love yourself in a like fashion. Now, Jesus is actually, I think, quoting Ezekiel, where you read, love God and love each other as well. But here Jesus is giving to the scribes the answer that is all about who God is and our responsibility as people of faith and followers of God. You see, divine love is what God offers us. It's that selfless love for one another. And I remember years ago I prayed about the difference between what God's love is versus what the world tells us. And I really did study a great deal for a long time, secular love, the world's love, and God's love, divine love. And I came with this one distinction which I think sums it all up. The world's love, secular love, is ever changing. It goes with the wind. It goes with the newest fad. That's why I think there are so many divorces and breakups in relationships, because the people are not centered in love properly. They're loving each other with what the world says we should love, or how the world says we should love, and so it's always fickle. I mean, the world takes this beautiful Greek word for love, eros, which means a passionate love with two people, and turns it into erotic, which is something dirty and something that the world embraces. So God's love is not changing. It doesn't change with the times. It doesn't blow with the wind. It's fixed. It's never changing. God's love remains constant. It's the anchor with which God loves us, and we're to love God, and it's that same anchor, that same strength, that never-changing feeling, that never-changing emotion that we should have and love with each other. You know, the laws, Jesus says, you follow these two, love God, love each other, all the other commandments, they fall into place. Well, that's a heck of a statement. God gave Moses 10 commandments. Moses gave it to the Jewish people, of course. And by the time Jesus came along, the Jewish people took those 10 commandments and turned it into 613 laws. And those 613 laws, the Jewish people at the time of Jesus believed, you break one of them, you break all of them. And so Jesus saw so many people were so transfixed on the laws that they were losing sight of the real message from God, which is to love God with all your heart, your mind, your body, your soul, and to love each other in the same way, and to love ourselves in that same way. And so Jesus said there are two, and if you do these two things, love God, love each other, everything else falls into place. Well, just so you don't think that our modern world and our modern churches have learned, my church, the Catholic Church, has taken Jesus's 2 and turned it into 2,000. We call it canon law, and say you're supposed to follow all these different laws. Well, guess what? I keep going back to Jesus's 2. They're very, very nice sounding, and they're probably very, very difficult. It is hard to love. It was not easy for Jesus to express the ultimate sign of love when he died for us on that cross. It is very difficult for us to remain in divine love on a daily basis with God and with each other. But that's what we're called to do. I believe with all my heart that the only way we can truly love God is by loving one another. This is what we are called to do. But we're called to do it in a divine love way. We're not the world's secular world that keeps, as I say, changing. Shakespeare, I think, summed it up in his Sonnet 116. He wrote this, he said, "Let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments. Love is not love which alters when it alteration finds, or bends with the remover to remove. Oh no, it is an ever fixed mark that looks on tempests and is never shaken. It is the star to every wandering bark, whose worth's unknown, although his height be taken. Loves not time's fool, though rosy lips and cheeks within his bending sickle's compass come. Love alters not with his brief hours and weeks, but bears it out even to the edge of doom. If this be error and upon me proved, then I never writ, and no man ever loved. William Shakespeare. So what's he saying? That love is not love if it alters when things come that are uncomfortable. Love is only love because it's never shaken. You know it's true love because it's never shaken no matter what the world brings before you. You know it's love because it does not change with the time. It's not time's fool. It remains constant and it bears out everything. Love is love because it bears out everything. You can even hear some of this in Paul's 1 Corinthians 13. Love bears everything. So the difference, I believe, between divine love and what the world wants us to do, secular love, is that the divine love, and here's how you tell the difference, is constant. It does not act in a fickle way or blow with the wind. And in our reading today, it's telling us that we're to love God with a divine love. We're to love each other with a divine love. We're to love ourselves with a divine love, a selfless love that remains constant. About 10 or 12 years ago, I was moved to really try to do something around this concept of divine love, and I developed 5 new mysteries for the Rosary. I call it Divine Love Mysteries, and I take 5 kinds of love from the Scriptures, and there are reflections for each of those 5. It could be used as I say, as part of praying the Rosary, or it could be used as your own personal reflection. I've given weekend retreats on the Divine Love Mysteries. And in the description section of this YouTube, you can see a link to get to the Divine Love Mysteries. Even today, all these years later, I still receive every couple of weeks an email from somebody around the world that's taken those, translated it to their own language, and prayed the Divine Love Mysteries. So I encourage you to take a look at it. And remember, there is a difference between what the world calls love and what God calls love. And what God calls love is where you're going to find happiness, because it's not going to keep you bouncing around following this light or this shiny bauble or that shiny bauble. Embrace divine love. This is Mark Price. Thanks for listening.